What's up, everybody? I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. We did. Had nine of us over. Me, my girlfriend, my 3 kids, her 2 kids, Alex's girlfriend Marley, and Claudia's boyfriend Jesse, who you're all familiar with. He didn't go to his own parents' house because apparently his dad had to work on a holiday. So he came and had Thanksgiving with us, which is pretty cool. Today I'm at Wendy's, or not Wendy's. What the hell did I say Wendy's for? I'm at freaking Taco Bell. Trying their. They better give me some goddamn napkins, or I'm gonna be pissed off. Trying the double steak grilled cheese burrito, and today's topic is why I didn't want to have kids. And you're like, oh, how could you say that? You have 3 beautiful children, and they're all smart and successful, and they didn't become screw-ups. Well, I'll tell you, but first I'm going to tell you, but first let's get into this mess. Look at that thing. Goodness gracious. The grilled cheese burrito. Where's the grilled cheese part? That doesn't look grilled to me. This looks like a melted cheeseburger. What's that look like to you? What's that look like to you? Huh? It looks like a sloppy mess. Look at that thing. Huh? Huh? It weighs like 2 pounds. That's the inside of it. You know what? I don't know what the hell it has in it. Who gives a shit? It tastes good, right? I'm just killing time with the burrito. But anyway, getting back to why I didn't want to have kids when I got married. When I got out of high school and got a job where I interacted with other adults that were older than me, one thing, you know, I'd get into a conversation with them, and I was just, 18, 19, 20 years old. These guys were like 30, 40. And they'd all say the same thing. If you get married, don't have kids. Because once you have kids, it screws everything up. Everything in the marriage, everything in the relationship freaking changes. And I'm like, why? And a lot of them said because her attention's focused on the kids and not on me. And, you start getting angry at her and she gets angry at you. And all of a sudden you're fighting all the time. The kids are upset. You're both upset. Blah blah blah. I mean, that's not every excuse, but and some of the other excuses were you lose your freedom because kids are they're like boat anchors. They hold you in place. You can't go anywhere unless you get a babysitter, and they're always there. The dynamic. You lose your freedom. The dynamic of the relationship changes. You can't just drop what you're doing and say, hey, let's go out and get dinner, or summertime, take a quick trip to the beach, or fly to Vegas or Mexico or whatever. That shit's over. That's basically what they told me. By the way, this thing's pretty fucking good. Got a little kick to it. I think it's got something crunchy in there. I hope it's nacho shells and not something that fell out of somebody's nose in Taco Bell. But getting back to the kids. So I heard all these stories, and I swore up and down I was never going to get married, never have kids, right? Well, I was fucking wrong about that. So, I met my ex-wife, Mama Jen, who Mama Jen, that you know from the videos. Met her in a gym, and when I was 25, she was 19. We started going out, and a few years later, got married, and, she's 7 years younger than me. She wanted to have kids right away, and I'm like, I don't want to have kids. I don't ever want to have kids. And this went on and on and on and on, and she's like, why? Because things are going to change when we have kids. It's not going to be like it is now, and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to lose my freedom. I don't want to have the extra expense. And, she's talking like 3 or 4 kids. And I remember one guy telling me every day I'd see him with her. I used to work for a grocery store chain, and this guy drove one of those soda delivery trucks, and every day he'd be like, I was like 19, he was like 30. He'd be like, how you doing today? Man, he goes, I hate my freaking wife. I freaking hate her. I hate my wife, my kids. He goes, some days I just feel like shooting her. Again, I heard all these freaking stories, man. I'm like, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. That's what I told her. I said, everybody I know that's got that experience is unhappy. I haven't met anybody that's happy about it. So year after year, she's pounding on me to have kids. I'm like, no. It took her 3 years to talk me into having a kid. 3 freaking long years. Getting hounded all the time. Finally, I said, okay. So, I'm trying, nothing's happening. What the hell's going on? So, I had to go to a urologist and give him a sperm sample, which in itself, that's humiliating because you have to bust in a cup and then rush it into the lab as quick as possible. And found out I drank too much caffeine back then, and it was screwing up my sperm production. So I cut back on the caffeine for I just cut it out for a month. Once I did that, boom, she's pregnant, right? Now you're going through the 9 months of hell. Morning sickness, hoping she doesn't get stretch marks and looks like a, all nasty and disgusting, skin hanging off. Sorry if that offends you, but I'm a shallow bitch. I met you when you were perfect. I want to keep you perfect until we each die or break up, whatever comes first. So 9 months goes on. I'm working. She teaches aerobics. She taught aerobics up until the 9th month. Finally, the time comes. We're in the hospital. Baby's coming. It's supposed to be coming, but it's not coming out. Brandon was the first one born, so not coming out. Finally, we're gonna have to do a C-section. They're like, do you want to be in the room? I said, yeah. And I've heard stories about C-sections from people that experienced it. Like a guy knew, went to high school with. He said his wife had one. He saw that thing come out and he just passed out. Hit the deck, man. Just passed out on the floor and missed the whole thing. That kind of stuff. Like if I'm eating and I see gross stuff, it kind of messes with me. But if I'm right there and you're cut open, I could hold your skin together, sew you up if I had to, or do whatever. It doesn't gross me out. And the woman is awake the whole time. She's not knocked out, and her head's here, and I'm behind her head watching everything. I can see what's going on. She can't see what's going on because they have her arms strapped down so she doesn't move. And they cut through the skin, the layer of fat, the muscle, the uterus, and pull that little sucker out. He's blue. And Brandon was, he was huge, man. He was 9 pounds, 22 ounces. Then they pull the womb out, which looks like kind of like a football, and they sew that shit up and then stuff everything back in. But anyway, seeing your kid come out like that is just crazy. And at that moment, everything in your life changes. Some for the better. I can't really say for the worse, but it just changes. Everything in your life changes after that first kid, and it's like seeing a child born is like emotional as fuck. It messes with your mind, man. And those of you who have gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are still single and not married yet, you have no freaking clue what your parents went through. But everything fucking changes. It's like now you got this tiny human that you two made, and you got to take care of it. You got to feed it, change its diapers, bathe it, work to make money to feed it, bathe it, buy it diapers, all that shit. And it's like, it's stressful. If you're going to get married and have kids, you need to think long and hard about it, because everybody thinks it's like this, it's not going to be any big deal. I can handle it. And you know what? I've seen people that were all happy and joyous, and once when they're married, and once they have a kid, they change. I've seen people that I don't even think they ever smiled again after they had kids. They just got miserable, ended up divorced, that type of thing. But having that kid changes your life in a way it's hard to explain, other than the fact that you have much greater responsibility than you did before. You've got, your wife, and a small child to take care of, and they're talking about having another one, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4, and I'm like, are you kidding me? One's good for me. I'm good with the one. Let's get through this and see what happens. And when that thing's coming out, man, you're just hoping, before you see it, you're hoping, I hope it has 10 fingers, 10 toes, and it's not ugly. I know that sounds shallow, but anybody that has an ugly kid, you have an ugly kid, and you're wishing you didn't have that ugly kid, because now it's going to live with you till at least it's 18 or 19 years old, possibly longer. Kids today, they're living at home till they're freaking 30, which is freaking ridiculous. But anyway, we had Brandon, and he was pretty easy. He wasn't a crier. He ate everything in sight. He was a fat little kid, which is hard to believe. But, and that went actually pretty easy, because I worked most of the time, and their mother stayed home, took care of him. She didn't have to work. Time went on. I guess when he was about 1, that's when she started talking about having another one, because she's like, I want to have a girl. Every time after that we tried to get pregnant, it like happened in like one try. And pregnant again, you're going through another 9 months. Now you have one kid, you have a pregnant wife, you have a job, and a bunch of shit to take care of, bills to pay, and it's like things start changing. You start second guessing why you got married, when you start having kids. And you're hoping this kid that's coming is going to be just as normal as the one you just have, because you can stop at the one you just had because you did good. You're golden. I mean, this kid's good. He's going to turn out good, and you can tell that he's smart. He's almost 2 years old, and you can tell that he's, he got born with a good brain. But anyway, to make a long story short, 9 months went by. We had Claudia. She was the only one that was born normally. Brandon and her are 2 years apart. We had her. We moved, we built a house in a neighborhood. We were the first ones in there. And then I was done. 2 was good for me. I thought, we're done. We got a boy and a girl, got the perfect family. 4 people, boy, girl, mom, dad, good looking kids, good looking parents. Everything's going good, but no. One day I came home and she was, I want to have another kid. I tried to talk my way out of it, but it was like talking to a door. It just was going nowhere. And then she got pregnant. Yeah, it's a battle a man's never going to win when your wife wants to get pregnant, especially if you have an attractive wife. And those of you that have an attractive wife with a good body know what I'm talking about. They know how to get you. They know how to get you in the sack and do the dirty deed if they want to get pregnant. You're going to lose that battle. So I lost that battle, and I'm tougher than most and more cold-hearted than most when it comes to certain things. But anyway, we had Kennedy. She was a C-section too, and I don't know why she wasn't that big. I can't remember why. But the experience of having kids, like I said, is emotional, and it kind of screws with your brain. And then you have now that not only do you have yourself and your partner to worry about, you have 3 kids to worry about. And you're stressing, or there's something going to happen to them, or they're all going to get in a car accident. You worry about that shit. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to have kids, is because I didn't want that additional stress. Maybe it sounds selfish, but I didn't want that additional stress, and I didn't want to have to worry about a kid every day, whether it's 1, 4, 5, 3, whatever. I know people with 10 kids in their family. I didn't want to have to worry about that shit. I had a parent that died in an accident and got killed in an accident. And that's when the police come to your door and tell you that, it's fucked up. And that's one thing I didn't want to have to ever go through again. I got through it. I dealt with it. And, things do change. And, you're at the point in your life. I remember both of us saying to each other, I could never imagine getting divorced, because all of our friends were getting divorced. And then, lo and behold, we just got tired of each other. We got divorced. And so many people I know got divorced. All of our friends that we hung with back then, when we were younger, and we were all having kids, every one of them got divorced. My girlfriend lived in the same neighborhood as us. I never knew her. My wife knew her, hung out with her here and there. She got divorced. Most of the people in the court we lived in got divorced, and that's how we met. I was divorced. I still lived in the same house. My wife moved out and ended up meeting my girlfriend. I had a barbecue for the neighbors, and she came over, but she wouldn't go out with me at first. That's a whole nother story. But my kids and her kids have known each other since Kennedy and Michael were 2 years old. But anyway, that in a nutshell, that's it. I mean, things change, and the divorce rate is 50-60% in the United States, and they always say it's because of infidelity is the main reason people get divorced, or money issues, but they never blame it on the kids. Everybody I know got divorced, it was because of the kids. Now, I love my kids, and I'm glad I had them and all that good stuff. I don't want my kids to be offended from this video, but these are one of the topics that people need to know about. This is what they don't teach you in school, because they don't want to teach you that in school. They want you to go to school and grow up, get a job, have kids, spend money so they can tax the crap out of you through the government, and then you spew out generation after generation in your family, so the cycle keeps going over and over again. It's about the government making money. And like I said, I wouldn't change anything as far as my kids go, but that's the way I felt, and that's the reason I never wanted to have kids to begin with, because I knew at some point divorce could be a huge possibility, and it happened. You know, maybe if we only had one kid, it wouldn't have happened. I can't say for sure, but things just change. You know, your life gets chaotic, and we owned a business at the time we were married, and it was really successful, and it took up a lot of my time, and I kind of paid less and less attention to my wife and my kids. You know, things changed. I'm not going to give you the details. I never did anything wrong, but things changed, and one day I just got to the point where I just didn't want to be married anymore. You know, and then you got divorce to go through, and then the kids are always in the middle, and again, you know, they're the ones that suffer more than anybody, because a lot of parents just are selfish and fight with each other, or try to get revenge and use the kids as a leverage to make the man suffer, and it gets ugly. And for us, it got ugly, and it stayed ugly for a while. Now that the kids are older and they're all successful, that can't happen anymore. You know, when your kids become adults, the spouse who was using them as a leverage or as a tool to motivate the other spouse or hurt the other spouse, they can't do that anymore. When that's all said and done and the kids are older, people put that by the wayside and grow the fuck up and start acting like adults again. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I love my kids. I have a lot of fun with them. We have a good relationship. I'm glad I had them. Luckily, they turned out as normal as they did for all the shit they had to go through in a divorce and all the other things that occurred during that process. It's a lot of work, because, you know, this weekend they're at my house, that weekend they're at her house, and you got all the driving you got to do and shit like that. It's crazy. But anyway, I figured that would be a story you wanted to hear, because you're so involved with all the members of our family and friends and all that good stuff. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. This thing right here is pretty fucking good. It's heavy though. Too many calories. It's day after Thanksgiving. I didn't eat that much on Thanksgiving, but I cooked for 9 people myself, and they enjoyed it, and had a ton of food and a great time. I hope you did too. Until next video, stay strong. Peace!